Hello, inflation fighters. Thank you for joining me today, the Penny Nanny, where we watch over every cent. Today is Wealth Wednesday, and I just wanted to talk to you about something that's going on in our lives, money-wise, and see how it impacts you. Maybe you can share with me your experiences with this, but let's get started. So I got my bill for my medical visits for September. Over $1,000. There were, they did 4 tests, blood work tests, and then I visited with a doctor for a very short period of time. But over $1,000. Now I did put some co-pays down on those when I went in, but it really didn't touch much of it. So I don't have $1,000. I don't have that kind of money sitting around, and we don't have medical insurance. We are going to try to apply for some once open enrollment starts, just to see how much it costs. But to be honest with you, if I was paying for insurance and paying these bills, it would be outrageous. So, I mean, it would take at least half our income to do, based on the things that I've seen from the last few times. Also, they go by, when you apply for this, they go by your previous year's taxes. Well, I was working full-time, sometimes overtime. So if we're going to count that as my income, well, we're going to be paying more out of pocket. So we may have to wait to until we get our taxes done to really know what's going on. So I was reading over all of the bills just to make sure that they were accurate, that my co-pays had showed up on there, and they had talked about not assistance, but a payment plan. You have 6 months to get into a payment plan. And my only concern about that is I don't like to commit to something like that when I don't have the money. So we'll see. I mean, we have time, we're looking it over, and we'll see what comes. But when I called my physician for a refill on my pill that I'm taking, which is basically a diuretic, a water pill, they wanted me to come in for another test before they would give me a refill. So that's a doctor visit and another test, which I have no idea how much that costs. And so I became my own advocate in that moment. And I just said, what are we testing for? I just got tested for things last month. You know, I've been on this prescription for 2 months now. Well, not 2 months, a month and a half. And I don't have any side effects from it. So what are we testing for? And they just said, well, you know, it's a big deal if you're low on potassium and things like that. Now, when we did the test and they showed that it wasn't low, but it wasn't, I mean, it was lower than like the standard, but it wasn't by much. And at that time, I hadn't been really eating anything that had potassium in it, and I wasn't taking potassium supplements, which I started to do because I read up on that and what some of the, now this isn't medical advice for anybody else. This is just for me. I'm telling you my experience. So I read up on it, found out what some of the concerns would be, and I just haven't experienced any of that. Plus, you know, come in, have a test, another test, another test. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I just kind of pushed back on that and said, look, you know, I just got my bill for the other tests. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. And I'm taking these things carefully, reading up on everything. You know, I do that. it's interesting because the medication they gave me works best on an empty stomach. And that's what they say anyway. It works best on an empty stomach. And if you, it didn't say that on the prescription bottle or anything like that, but I looked into the medication and it said sometimes food can interfere with that. So, I've planned and plotted my day so that as soon as I wake up, I take the medication. Obviously, I hadn't eaten anything before. And so I'm on an empty stomach and I wait 3 hours after. Now it says you only have to wait an hour, but I'm extra cautious and I wait longer. And I'm not really much of a breakfast person, but so this is something that you need to kind of be an advocate for yourself, to go get a test for a medication that you've already been on. I don't know. It just, to me, it seemed like just a money-making thing on their end. So I also did some research about how to deal with certain bills. And in the state that I live in, which is Wisconsin, we have something called Chapter 128. And it's not really bankruptcy. It allows you to pick and choose which debts you want to have a trustee pay for you. And you get 36 months to pay it. So this is always an option if we don't end up getting the medical coverage at an affordable rate. And it is something we will do. I mean, you have to do it. Now, I talked to a close loved one, and she informed me that, medical bills are something that they don't really collect on or go to collections with. And so to just kind of keep that at the lower end of your paying back debt. So, again, but I still don't like the constant go and get tested, blah, blah, blah for this stuff. So, but with Chapter 128, if this would become something we would need to do, we get to pick and choose the debts we want to put in there. We have the 36 months to pay it. And maybe your state has that option or something similar. Maybe you have even better options than we do. But it is something to think about. It's for any debt. If you're, if it's credit card debt, if it's whatever, but you get to choose the ones you want to put on there. So, and they can't harass you. They can't do collections on you. They can't do anything like that once that's triggered in place. So there may be options like that. Just make sure that you always read over your bills, and particularly your medical bills, and see what kind of options they have. Again, I'm not a big fan of doing government healthcare. I wish we could have something private, but I was self-employed and my husband's employer didn't offer it. So, doesn't offer it. So, everybody, in fact, even the owner of my husband's company, his wife works somewhere where she has medical insurance. And that is the case for most of his coworkers as well. The wife works somewhere for medical insurance. So, it's to have it for one guy. He can't just do that. So, but at any rate, these are things to consider. So, again, let me know if there's things that you've done to kind of handle your medical bill situation. Be well, be blessed, and know you're taken care of. Bye now.